In the Hindenburg versus Adani saga, markets have looked past the face-off. However, there are 42,000 crore rupees of mutual funds money riding on the Adani Group firm's stocks. Now, the market impact has waned this time around. However, Hindenburg's allegations could weigh heavily on small investors. The reason? Mutual funds have significant exposure to 10 of the 11 listed Adani Group companies. So, any erosion in Adani Group's market value will wash out the life savings of some investors. The top 4 firms in terms of mutual fund exposure based on analysis by Value Research are Adani Ports and SEZ with investments worth 13,024 crore rupees. Ambuja Cement comes second with nearly 9,000 crore rupees and ACC at third with over 7,600 crore rupees, and mutual fund exposure into Adani's flagship firm is at over 7,200 crore rupees. Those high figures represent a larger risk to small investors who have taken the systematic investment plan or SIP route to invest in mutual funds. Companies in the Adani Group initially saw a loss of nearly $13 billion in market value on Monday, the first trading day after the weekend's charges. However, the group's market losses at day's end were $2.4 billion and have since recovered completely this week. More importantly, Adani Ports and Adani Enterprises together make up little less than 2% of the Nifty 50 benchmark. This also has the ability to affect the overall index in performance and investor sentiment. Of course, this is in the Hindenburg versus Adani saga. Markets have looked past the face-off, and this is something we will be discussing with our guest joining us shortly. There are 42,000 crore rupees of mutual funds money still riding on the Adani Group firm's stocks. What will be the implications of that? We will be discussing that too. The market impact has waned this time around. However, Hindenburg's allegations could weigh heavily on small investors, and that's what our report carries, the implications for small investors. Reason is that mutual funds have significant exposure to 10 of the 11 listed Adani Group companies. All right, for more on this, we're now being joined by Mark Matthews, who's the Managing Director at Bank Julius Baer and Company and prominent Asian markets expert. He's joining us live from Singapore. Mr. Matthews, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for making time and joining us on World Business Watch. Broadly, sir, Indian stock markets seem to have looked past the Hindenburg saga. What's your take on this?
My take is that you're right. They have looked past it. It seems as if the allegations are more of a personal attack on Mrs. Butch and her husband rather than directed at the institution of SEBI itself. Unlike back in January of last year when the market panicked a little bit, this time it didn't. It's a damp squid. That being said, I kind of wish that the market had panicked because it has gone up too much. It's in need of cooling off. And we've seen in the second quarter results both a compression in margins and a reduction in the base effect that makes earnings growth less robust. Earnings growth was only about 5 to 7%. So I would have liked if this had brought the market down, but it did not do so.
Mr. Matthews, now this is the second part which I wanted to discuss with you. There is a lot of mutual fund money, and we're talking about a figure to the tune of 41,000 crore rupees. And this is riding on the 10 listed Adani Group firms. What do these allegations mean for the mutual fund market?
It doesn't mean anything. First of all, 41,000 crores is about 1/60th of the assets under management of the mutual fund industry. And the second thing is the reason why those shares are held by mutual funds is because they're passively invested in primarily the Nifty Next 50. And so they have to hold those stocks to be benchmarked to that index. It's not because they're going out of their way to own those stocks. It's for benchmarking purposes and passive investment. So I don't think it's material, both in terms of size or the reason behind the shareholding.
All right, Mr. Matthews, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your insights. That was Mark Matthews, Managing Director at Bank Julius Baer and Company, prominent Asian markets expert, joining us from Singapore. Always a pleasure getting your thoughts on pertinent matters.